The oath of office.
I state your full name.
I, Heather Hammond,
Having been appointed an officer
in
the Army of the United States
the Army of the United States,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution
that I will support and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
At this time, her mother, Linda Hammond, and her sister, Tina McComber, will affix the gold bars of second lieutenant on her shoulders and beret. Sergeant First Class Spencer Dahl will now render the traditional first salute. Lieutenant Colonel Wells will now present a copy of Second Lieutenant Hammond's commissioning certificate. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Hammond.
General Goodall, Lieutenant Colonel Wells, cadre, friends and family. I'd first like to thank my sister for being there every step of the way. She wrote me letters probably every other day when I was in basic and LDAC. She's always been my sounding board for every time things didn't go my way. I would also like to thank my mom and dad, who have been the biggest support. Not a lot of parents, I think, when their daughter comes to them saying they want to join the Army, is like, yeah, that's a great idea, like, go for it. And they've been there the whole way. And I'd like to thank the MS4s for being there for me. I kind of jumped in the middle, not knowing what I was getting into, which was probably a blessing. And they helped me along the way and kind of brought me up to speed. And also the cadre did the same. I'd like to thank them. And I'd like to thank, most of all, my older brother, Jared. He was my hero, and 3 years ago he passed away. And I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for him. And the example he set for me the last year of his life, living it to the fullest. And after he passed away, you kind of evaluate your life, and I realized I wasn't living up to my potential, and one thing led to another, and now I'm here. And I know he's been with me every step of the way, because there's certain things that have happened in my life that don't quite make sense, but have worked out, and I know it's him. And I hope I make him proud, and I love him. Thank you, Jared, and thank you, everyone.
Cadet Levi Holt, please come forward. Cadet Holt earned his bachelor's degree in engineering and will commission as an infantry officer in the United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Blaine Wells would administer the oath of office.
I state your full name.
I, Levi Nathaniel Holt,
Having been appointed
having been appointed
an officer in the Army of the United States
an officer in the Army of the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
At this time, his mother, Mitzi Holt, and his uncle, CW4 Phil Munden, will affix the gold bars of second lieutenant on his shoulders and beret. Sergeant James Sunderland, United States Army National Guard, will now render the traditional first salute.
Remember what the general said. Listen to your NCO.
Lieutenant Colonel Wells will now present a copy of Second Lieutenant Holt's commissioning certificate. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Holt.
Thank you. It's funny, I've imagined this moment so many times. It's hard to believe it's finally here. It's funny, when I came here to Boise State, I didn't know the difference between an NCO and an officer. I didn't know anything about the Army. I came here to wrestle at Boise State. I have a Pac-10 ring on my finger for our championship. I joined the Army knowing that the wrestling wouldn't take me anywhere, and it's funny how I had no idea what the Army could offer, and I've learned so much. JD, the gentleman that gave me my first salute, has taught me so much. I've been over with him with the National Guard, drilling with him every weekend. Been called every foul name in the book by that man. And he has taught me so much, and I thank him a lot. I'd like to thank a gentleman that's not here. He probably doesn't even realize I'm going to recognize him today, but a coach, a wrestling coach from back home that told me that I could do anything I wanted to. When I first came here, and I kept a list of the people that told me, they said I couldn't do it, it could not be done to do wrestling, mechanical engineering, and ROTC at the same time. They were probably right, which is why I've been here as long as I have. But I'm finally here. It's funny, I must admit I had to keep my tears back a little bit looking out the window here. My dad and my grandpa, well, long story short, we lost 6 family members in 5 years. I was looking out the window, and I remember looking at the exact location. I was coming back from a Sticks lane when I got told that he passed away. and he was my biggest supporter. And I know he's watching me. I even sent him a phantom text during our graduation ceremony because I'm crazy. But I did want to thank those people. I wanted to thank my sister for being there for me through everything. Everything. I could not thank her enough. And my friends. I consider them family here in Boise State. We call ourselves the Rat Pack sometimes. And that's pretty true. We make a mess of things. Anyway. Well, thank you, everyone. I know there's lots of people I've missed, and I've done my best to try to thank you all. But I wouldn't be here without you people. Thank you.
In case you're wondering, there is a technique to the beret. We just haven't figured it out, so we'll get there. Cadet Ryan Lindsay, please come forward. Cadet Lindsay earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice and will commission as a chemical officer in the United States Army. Second Lieutenant Daniel Johnson will administer the oath of office.
I, say your full name,
I, Ryan William Lindsay,
having been appointed an officer
having been appointed an officer
in the Army of the United States
in the Army of the United States
in the grade of Second Lieutenant,
in the grade of Second Lieutenant,
do solemnly swear that I will
do solemnly swear that I will
support and defend the Constitution of the United States
support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the officer upon which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
At this time, his family, Brent, Pam, and Marissa Lindsay, will affix the gold bars of Second Lieutenant on his shoulders and beret. Master Sergeant Tim Kemkes, Boise State University ROTC, will now render the traditional first salute. Lieutenant Colonel Wells will now present a copy of Second Lieutenant Lindsay's commissioning certificate. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Lindsay.
I'm going to keep this short. I don't like speaking long, but to my friends and my family for being there for me to help me get this far, and to the cadre members who really supported me and really developed me, really spent the time out of their day to take me to that next step. Thank you all for helping me, and God bless.
Cadet Sarah Spencer, please come forward. Cadet Spencer earned her bachelor's degree in nursing and will commission as a nurse in the United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Blaine Wells would administer the oath of office.
full name.
I, Sarah Jean Spencer,
Having been appointed an officer
having been appointed an officer
in the Army of the United States
in the Army of the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
At this time, her sister, Becky Spencer, her friend, Julianne Hagler, and her brother-in-law, Mark Engemann, will affix the gold bars of second lieutenant on her shoulders and beret. Staff Sergeant Jessica Kelly Bickford, U.S. Air Force, will now render the traditional first salute. Lieutenant Colonel Wells will now present a copy of Second Lieutenant Spencer's commissioning certificate. I have to introduce you. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to